Let's be real. We British aren't exactly the most interesting bunch you'll ever meet. Well, yeah, I guess we've got a pretty long and branching history, and our landscape is quite nice, when it's not just rain. But really, if you're looking for an interesting culture, you could do a lot better than us. But, no matter what anybody says or thinks, there is one thing that is globally undeniable. British comedy is some, if not, the best there is. I could list many shows and give many reasons, but that's a video for another day. If you want some proof, just go search for some clips from Monty Python or Father Ted or whatever. Bottom line is, what we British lack in social abilities, we make up for in comedy. But as famous as many of our shows can be, there is one particular character who has recognition all over the world. Mr. Bean. Now, I'll be honest, I adore the original early 90s series. It's just so full of charm, and it's clear how carefully made each episode is, accompanied with characterful music and really memorable moments. Not to mention, the show is really well written and goddamn hilarious for silent comedy. I've got a ton of nostalgia towards it, and the two films were damn good as well. Heck, there's even a cartoon adaptation that's still rare to this day. Jeez, I'm getting sidetracked. But, as I'm sure you all know, like any franchise with a load of money backing its name, there's always a few people who'll be after some of that cash. Enter Mr. Bean, the video game. Not scared? Now you are. That's right. Published by none other than one of the masters of obscure crappy games, Blast. Known for such gems as Home Alone and Little Britain. When I say British comedy is good, I mean often good. Not always. Oh boy. Well, alright, before we make any assumptions, let's first take a look at the box. Teddy's been kidnapped by a mysterious villain, and Mr. Bean needs your help to find the ransom. 750 cat biscuits? Okay. Now, I'm no Sherlock Holmes or anything, but I'm going to suspect that, with the evidence before us, and with my powers of deduction, that our mysterious villain is a household cat. Hey, cat. Yeah, you. Hey, look at me when I'm talking to you. Look, see this game? Excuse me, look at me. See this game? Yeah, you're the villain in this game. You're gonna be the bad guy. Got that? You're looking at me. Hello? Yeah, see this? Yeah, you're the villain. Hope that's okay by you. What am I doing with my life? Okay, firstly, why cat biscuits? Mr. Bean is literally risking his very life to get Teddy back. At least don't make an insulting ransom. And second, why not ask for money, which you could then use to buy cat biscuits? Loads of them in fact. They're like a few pounds at most. In fact, hell, a regular box of cat biscuits probably has around 750 biscuits in it. And thirdly, why doesn't Mr. Bean just go buy a few boxes himself, as opposed to potentially dying just to get a teddy bear back? Or buy another teddy? What's so special about this one? Maybe it's like some sort of cum sock. Well, he is a lonely middle-aged man, to be fair. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm 15, the hell do you expect? Oh well. In basic terms, the plot sucks. As does this box. Seriously, what kind of flimsy plastic is this? I can't think of any other games with this box that feels like it's gonna snap upon being opened. God, we've not even begun the game yet and I'm already questioning everything. Alright, well, a bad start doesn't necessarily mean a bad game, right? Let's just get this over with. Now, one last thing before we start. I actually have a small little bit of nostalgia for this game. I bought it when I was about 8 from, of all places, a Co-op branch store in my home city when I was on holiday. Yeah, that's right. I bought this game brand new. It only cost £6 or so, which should already give you an idea on how much of a budget title this is. Anyway, I took it home, played it for an hour or so, and then never touched it again. Until today. So yeah, even as a kid this didn't impress me. Alright, sorry, enough chat. Let's choose a language. Wait, Choose a language? But Mr. Bean is a silent comedy. Surely I don't require a language to enjoy something Mr. Bean related. Oh, okay, fine. How about French? Sure, French. Why not? I mean, it's Mr. Bean. No speech understanding is required, because there is no speech. Then again, the only French I know is hello, goodbye, yes, no, thanks, sorry, and garden. But if this game has a heavy emphasis on basic manners and gardens, like I'm expecting it to, then I think I'll be fine. Oh. Ah, crap. Now I know what being lost feels like. In France. Okay, bad idea. Let's take this from the top. Guess I should have expected that. After all, my French is how they would say, less shit. Alright, English. Back to familiar waters. Don't know what he's so happy about though. Okay, so, off the bat, the menus look pretty good, plus they have the theme from the animated series. Nice touch. Oh yeah, just for the record, if you couldn't tell, this is based entirely off the animated series. No Rowan Atkinson here, sadly. Okay, I guess the tutorial would be a good place to start, but this ain't no standard tutorial, no sirree. Instead, we get a short video explaining how to play the game in a very obvious and patronising way. Like, don't tell me that by moving the analog stick forward, Mr. Bean will walk forward. I'm not a 4-year-old. I'd show you in full, but it might be copyright protected or something, whatever. To be fair though, it does explain the controls well enough, so yeah, not bad. Oh, blast kinda gives me the chills. Okay, now that we have armed ourselves with knowledge, I think we can finally get to the main game. But before we start, we get to choose a character. Yeah, you heard me. There's more than one character. Shocking, I know. The other characters are my gob. Mr. Bean's love interest? Don't ask. Honestly, she probably just plays the same, so I'll just go the main man, Mr. Bean. So, to begin with, the graphics are actually quite good. They're a bit basic, yeah, but they have a nice colour choice that fits the source material quite well. Very cartoony, I like it. Mr. Bean's model though looks, passable. A bit rigid and blocky for PS2 standards, but not terrible, it'll do. The controls, however, feel as amateuric as my first video. Wow. We're only one video in since then and I already have regrets. Okay, well, they're not too horrible, but Mr. Bean doesn't really have any momentum and turns feel a bit slippery. The jumping also feels quite heavy and cumbersome, but I can forgive that for the jump animation. So, the controls just about get a pass. Nothing that great, improvements needed, but they'll do. Okay, so we start here in the first hub level, the gardens. Yeah, you heard me. Hub level. Shocking, I know. Though hub levels are a nice way to string levels together to make them feel more like actual locations in a real and existing world, these are literally pointless. There's nothing to do, no creative designs, no items, no bonuses, just a bland room that leads to the other levels. And heck, on the subject of bland, gardens? Is that the best you could come up with? Yeah, I guess they work in the context of the show, but that doesn't stop them from being boring. Okay, well, whatever. Basically, each hub level contains 4 doors. 3 lead to actual levels, and the other leads to the next hub. In this first hub, we have The Hunt Begins, not really a location, Miss Wicket's back garden, and the park. Oh, and just to let you know, you can't actually choose which to go to first. You have to do them in order, which now makes the hub world even more pointless than before. You may as well have a level select screen. It would save time. Well, no use complaining. Let's begin this, hunt, I guess. God, that name is really irritating my OCD side. Like, every other level has a name related to a location, at least do that here too. Anyway, name aside, the first level looks pretty nice, I think. It's just some generic garden, yeah, but it's bright and looks like something from a cartoon. Also, the music. Forgettable, yes, but it's pleasant enough. Fits well for a garden, and it even sounds similar to background music from Mr. Bean. Not bad. Something that is bad, however, is the enemies. Imagine the most generic enemies you can. This game will have quite a few of them. bees, moles, rats, frogs, angry asshole dogs who can die in a fire, security guards, and robocats. Robocats? Okay, that gains some points back. Regardless though, the enemies really serve no purpose other than to get in the way. But on the subject of enemies, how do you combat them? Well, there are 3 weapons. Insect repellent, for dealing with smaller enemies, typically the animal ones. A frying pan for the bigger ones, which reminds me a lot of Mother series, always nice to be reminded of them. And a pirate hat, which Mr. Bean can wear to become temporarily invincible. But you may as well not bother collecting any of them, let alone try to use them. Why? Well, because all they do is stun the enemies. Yep, that's it. All of them. I mean, it's hard enough to hit the bastards, but there's no point at all because it only stops them for about 5 seconds. I mean, look here, I swear, I'm trying the best I can, but for the life of me I can't hit this old bitch. Look, how much closer do I need to be? Every time I try to hit an enemy, I just take damage myself. Now I know what this feels like. Jesus, look how much health I lost just to one foe. God, I'm losing some serious gamer pride here. Well, health pickups are a thing in this game, so I'll just try to look at one of them. There's multiple different types of health pickups to choose from, each restoring a different amount of health. Apples do jack shit. These weird first aid kit things restore a little of your health, and teddies restore a whole bar. Clearly, this is where you should... Wait, Teddy? Hey, I found him. Well, that was easy. Alright guys, mission accomplished. Let's all go home. Wait, the game's not over yet. So, this won't do. But it looks exactly the same as the teddy bear Mr. Bean had before. Will you seriously not accept that? God damn it. Well, I guess this just further suggests that the real Teddy is a little more crusty than this one, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to stop making this joke now before I get a certain image stuck in my head. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, collectibles. Besides from the previously mentioned weapons and health, there are a few other things that Mr. Bean will need to obtain. There's the 750 cat biscuits to collect. They can be found, weirdly, pretty much anywhere, and serve as the primary collectible. There's also the game's most important collectible, that is used to progress to the next hub, the jigsaw piece. Now where have I heard that one before? Each level will have a certain amount of them to collect, usually around 4, and all of them must be in your possession in order to progress to the next hub. Jigsaw pieces can be found in treasure chests that require a key to open. Now where have I heard that one before? Honestly though, while that works in a game like Zelda, you know, a good game, it completely fails here. There is one key per chest in each level, okay, fine. However, the key is usually found in the same area as the chest, so there is little to no point at all to have a key, just have the chest. Or better yet, save me watching this boring ass animation every 3 minutes and just have the jigsaw piece in the open. Even after the chest is open I still need to collect it, so I have any of that crap. It blows my mind. How the hell did someone think that there was any point at all to that process? It's nothing but filler. And even worse, the key's in a damn box of its own. Why? Oh yeah, the boxes. Forgot to mention those. Basically, a lot of the health and biscuits are found in these boring looking boxes. But these also work as checkpoints, and many of them contain explosives, which will damage you upon contact. Now where have I heard that one before? Okay, end of level, and wow, that was probably the least satisfying end to a level I've ever seen. Well, whatever, on to level 2, Miss Wicket's back garden. Wait, isn't this trespassing? And who the heck is Miss Wicket? I presume she's from the animated series, but she just sounds like some generic old lady. Whatever. Anyway, level 2 looks exactly like level 1. Shocking, I know. And hey, is this Miss Wicket? The old lady we assaulted earlier with a frying pan? Wow. So if beating the crap out of an innocent elderly person wasn't bad enough, now we're trespassing on her private property. Jeez, Mr. Bean sure is a dick. Actually, Now that I look at her up close, she kind of reminds me of the old lady from Worms. Almost expecting her to explode. Well, I think I'm going to conserve my HP this time, so I'll just try to have... Okay then. Alright, level's finished. On to the next one. Last one in the first hub too. Only took me about 40 minutes and that's a quarter of the game done already. Then again, I don't really want to be spending my free time playing this. Anyway, on the back of the box, one of the selling points is that it features some clips from the actual Mr. Bean animated series. Though, honestly, it's clearly just that, a selling point. Something to put on the back of the box to help dumb kids sacrifice their money to the great gods of crappiness. Seriously, there's only 5 clips, they last around 15 seconds and they aren't funny at all because they have zero context. Like here. Mr. Bean's climbing up a tree, and then he puts his hand in the tree and it gets bitten by a baby bird. BAM! Sewers! It's as funny as watching an episode of any comedy, but for some reason skipping to an entirely random part and watching it for a few seconds. Like, comedy needs context, or, you know, it's not comedy. But one thing that is comedy, however, is the fact that a rake is an obstacle. Not going to lie, that got a chuckle out of me the first time. Cute little addition. Also, I just want to point out that level 3 is called The Park. Fair enough, but I can't help but feel like there's something a little dangerous about this public facility. Not sure what, though. I'm sure it's nothing. Okay, so yeah, as I was coming to the end of level 3, I noticed that it's actually possible, and by possible I mean very easy, to see outside of the boundaries of the game. I mean, yeah, I can't exactly say that I was feeling very immersed in this Mr. Bean game, but this just completely ruins the presentation. Look at it, they didn't even try to hide it. Alright, well, maybe I'm starting to be too harsh. We've collected all the jigsaw pieces, and now it's time to progress to Hub 2. But before that, we have one last challenge. A boss fight? Of course not. A final gauntlet testing my skill so far? Don't be daft. No. What's the best way to create a sense of progression and achievement other than building a jigsaw? Yeah, that's right. The jigsaw pieces you collect are actually used for a jigsaw. Suck on that, bear. Actually, to be fair, the jigsaws are a little challenging and create a nice contrast. They're still pretty boring, but they don't last too long and are just enough to make a nice little break in the gameplay. Even though somehow, I always fail the first try and then did it perfect on the second try. Anyway, I guess while we're here, I'll mention the vacuum wall challenge. It's an optional minigame that offers different rewards, like giving you a map, and... Actually, I only played the first one, but I'm sure the rest are okay. All you do in them though is run around and press X whenever there's a mole nearby. Repetitive and surely illegal, but you don't have to do them at least. Okay, so hub level 2, and it's the sewers. Wow, that's creative. Well, the purple bricks do look pretty cool I think, so that's something. Anyway, level 4 now. You know, I quite liked the music in the last levels. Simple, but fitting for a garden. I wonder what the music will be like for these levels. It's the exact same. Well, can only blame myself for getting my hopes up. Anyway, yeah, the sewers are honestly no more interesting than the gardens were, if anything less. I guess if you want to, you can make Mr. Bean swim through a load of shitty piss and eventually die of campylobacteriosis. That's kind of interesting. Though, anything seems interesting by this point. The levels are just starting to feel the same to play and... oh, this is really beginning to drag on now. I'd love to just be able to run through these levels quickly, but no. I have to take my time and find each and every jigsaw piece. And these signs aren't exactly helpful. I mean, look. Danger. High explosives. Beware. Unstable ground. Yeah, I can see that. I'm not an idiot. I'm not actually Mr. Bean. I swear, a game this handholding was probably designed for Mr. Bean himself. Hell, no surprises if Mr. Bean actually designed this game on his own. Jeez. Well, I notice that sometimes the sounds don't work when they're supposed to. I guess that's something. Oh, and if you position the camera so that you can see outside the boundaries, Skybox is the exact same as the garden levels. Why? Well, there is a reason. There's like this one bit where you can see a blocked exit to the sewers, and that, you know, creates a room that feels varied and interesting, so, yep. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is really mentally draining. And this music is starting to piss me off. It seemed fine at first, but no, it doesn't fit a sewer at all, and man, oh, this is starting to feel like it's taking forever. Oh, and on a side note, fuck this section. I swear, I'm doing my best, but Mr. Bean keeps hitting his head on the ceiling. Plus, it's made even harder by the controls. I know at first I said they were passable, but seemingly, like everything else in this game, it gets worse the further you go. Now earlier, I mentioned that Mr. Bean had no momentum at all to his movement, but only now does it start to become a problem. Because of this lack of momentum, once you make a jump, you have next to no control over where you go. Steering mid-jump is incredibly difficult, if not impossible. If you want to land a precise jump, your timing has to be incredibly accurate before you make the jump, otherwise, back to the last checkpoint. It's honestly not the worst thing ever, but it caused about 80% of all deaths I had in this game, and it really doesn't feel like it's your fault for screwing up. Anyway, these sewer parts feel a lot longer than the gardens, so I'll spare you all the details from each level. In short, these levels all look, play, feel and sound the same, so there's really nothing to say that hasn't already been said. I'll save us all some time and move on to the final hub, the factory. Again, real creative. Anyway, after another intense jigsaw challenge, we're at the last 3 levels now. And god, this factory sure does look a lot like a sewer. And sounds like one, that's right. The same goddamn annoying music. Okay, well, we're in the final stretch now. The end is in sight. So what about these factory levels then? Any creative mechanical set pieces? Any inventive uses of level design? Anything? No! It's the exact same as every other level in every way except visuals. Okay. Calm down. Oh, it's almost over. Okay, so, I may seem like I'm being harsh. It may just seem like I'm picking on this little budget game with very little reasoning. But I've been saving this for the right time, which I believe is now. Okay, deep breaths. It's time to talk about the level design. Oh sweet Jesus Christ on a unicycle, level design. It could easily be the worst I've ever seen. Okay, I'll start at the basics. Each level is mostly linear straight corridors, leading to large rooms where you collect the jigsaw pieces. There's the occasional branching path in the later levels, but they all end up at the same destination, and you stop off at all the same places. Sounds similar to the likes of Crash Bandicoot, and it is. Slightly. However, this game feels a lot more like Crash Bland-Coot. But why though? Well, in Crash Bandicoot, the levels are designed so that the mechanics will work with each other, and everything is polished very well because there is only one linear path to focus on. In Crash Bandicoot, the levels flow. However, in Mr. Bean, the levels are designed in a very methodical and repetitive way. There's no flow, or pacing, or interesting use of mechanics. I know this seems an unfair comparison, but stick with it. In this game, each level just feels like a routine. Go through linear section with bland and poorly placed obstacles and enemies that show no creativity at all. Collect jigsaw pieces in slightly larger and more open area. Rinse and repeat. The level design feels very basic and almost random at times. I mean, look here. What the hell are all these bomb boxes doing here? Where's the order? These things are goddamn everywhere in this game. And look at this enemy placement. It's completely sporadic. What were they trying to do? But that's not the worst of it. Above all of this, I would say the biggest offence is simply how easy and unenjoyable the game is because of this design. Example. Here's a series of spikes, raising at different moments. You must carefully watch and plan when to make your move. Or, do this. Also, The game gives you zero incentive to take your time in the linear segments, which may I remind you is where most of the actual gameplay takes place. Enemies and obstacles do very little damage, and health is so easy to come by that you may as well just carelessly rush through the game, hitting everything that comes in your way and having to slow down only when you need to collect a jigsaw piece. Or do these pathetic block puzzles that exist solely to eat time, break the game's already terrible pacing, and insult you. Your failures don't go punished. The penalties are almost non-existent. To summarise, everything in this game is just designed in such a mindless way that there is no challenge or interest to be found at all. Okay, there are some moments where the levels are a little creative, but it's nothing mind-blowing, and they are very, very few. The level design is genuinely horrendous. Okay, so after what feels like an eternity, but it was only about 4 hours, we're at factory level 3, the final level, and yeah, it sucks as much as any other level. Shocking, I know. But Jesus Christ, this end room is such a pain in the arse. In the last room, basically, there's a chest to open for a jigsaw piece, a key on this platform here, and a box and panel to open the gate to the end. However, the platform that the key is on is too high to reach, and there's nothing around to help you up. Now, I must have spent about 10 minutes here just trying to work out what the hell to do, and I still don't know if this is the proper way to do it. It really doesn't feel right, but this is all I could imagine you can do to finish the level. Okay, so firstly, I had to painstakingly drag this box from one side of the area to the other in order to reach the key, to open the chest, to get the jigsaw piece and finish the game. Sounds fun? Well, to make things even worse, there's like 4 enemies, all up on platforms, tossing crap at you all the time, and this one bastard guarding the area the chest is in. The only way I can possibly imagine to do this is by having collected loads of pirate hats beforehand to protect yourself, while dragging this box around like an idiot, then having to drag it back to the door to open the door. Jesus Christ! What a band of incompetent fools made that... Only 6 people built this game. Oh well, I feel like a bit of an asshole now. I mean, it is quite a small budget title, so maybe I'm just being too harsh. Or the game sucks, one of the two. Anyhow, finally, after clearing every level, after persevering through extreme boredom, after collecting all the jigsaw pieces and the 750 Wait. Ah, for fuck's sake. Okay, now I think that should be it. Jeez. This old biscuit thing sure was fuller if I've ever seen it. Anyway, after one final epic jigsaw showdown, we finally have accomplished this long and arduous journey. And we are reunited with our dearest, crispiest Teddy. The locks also explode in his cage, which seems very excessive. Both the explosions and the fact that this teddy bear was being held in a cage. And that is that. After 6 of the most tedious hours I've ever sat through, what do we get? A boring, uninteresting roll call of all the characters, their terrible names, a 7-second music loop, a great desire to have been playing Donkey Kong Country instead, and lots of dissatisfaction. Well, in conclusion, Mr. Bean is an empty shell of a game with very little enjoyment to be found in any of its attributes. Yes, I'll be true, it does function as intended, but honestly, considering how monotonous said functionality is, I'd rather it be a broken mess. The visuals and audio are subpar, the controls are subpar, the level design should be honoured if I called it subpar. The experience as a whole is very much below average. Plus, there is very little following of the source material. This game could have been about anything. But no, by slapping a popular culture character onto a game, it's bound to make more money than it would have otherwise. I'm sure I wasn't the only dumb kid to spend their money on this, but to everyone else out there, child or not, there is no reason to buy, let alone even play this game. while there are far worse games out there in the world, technically, in terms of enjoyment, this has to be one of the lowest I've ever played. In fact, it easily is. If there is anything at all to learn from a game like this, it is this. There are many bad games, and there are many good games, but worst of all is a game that isn't fun, and this is the latter. Actually, to hell with the niceties, even technically this game is poor. Look, they didn't even bother to program this part properly, are you serious? Anyway, out of ignore, try, and buy, I would give Mr. Bean the recommendation level of ignore. There is really nothing to gain from this title, so if you happen to stumble across it and feel a little curious, save yourself the money and time and go buy Jak and Daxter instead, or Lego Star Wars, or pretty much any other platformer. Whatever. This game sucks, but what the hell did I expect from a game about Mr. Bean, published by Blast of all companies? But, to be honest, as far as what I've seen from Blast, this actually isn't their worst. From what I know, they have a whole armada of games that are even worse than this, both in enjoyment and technicality. And if I'm going to keep reviewing obscure games, then it seems more than likely that I'm going to come across one or two more Blast games in the future. Oh dear lord. Oh well, that's to worry about for another day. Jeez, I need to go play something good now. Where's that copy of Persona 3? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it. Whatever it is you do today, I hope it goes well. And I'll see you, well, whenever it is I see you again. Or if I even do, whatever. Later.